Captain Amarinder Singh, Chief Minister of Punjab, thank you for speaking to India today at a critical day when all across the country the farmers have been protesting. Their life and livelihoods are in question. The Bharat Bandh observed all across the country. What is the big message that the farmers are sending across to the Modi government?
Well, I think firstly it's unity on the farmer front. That whether you're north, south, east, west, everyone feels the same and are together. And I think the issues they are certainly sending to the government is that these bills that you have brought are anti-farmer bills, and that they have to be rescinded. You have to go back and look at the whole issue, because they were just done on the spur of the moment by the administration without taking any farmer lobby or any of the states that are farming states into confidence.
Now, you met the Home Minister, Union Home Minister, last week, and you asked him to end the impasse quickly. Did he give you any assurances on that when you met him?
Well, there were two issues which I met him on. The first one was, of course, national security, because we're having a lot of these drones coming in and a lot of weapons being dropped. And that is important for me because we are a neighboring state. But while I was there, I did naturally, because this is the current topic, I did say that the time has come now that the government must take a decision. And the farmers' problems are all known to the government. You know what they want, and whatever can be done to ease this tension must be done. I've had it in Punjab for nearly 4 months now. We had 3 people, for nearly 2.5 months, people were sitting on the railway lines, all the block, even today. I've got about 118 places where their farmers are still agitating in Punjab. The Jandiala railway line is closed. In addition to that, all your toll barriers are closed. All the Reliance petrol pumps are people are sitting on. So it's 118 places, and it shows how much they feel. It's not the man. If you see the people there, they're all elderly people. They are worried about their children and their grandchildren, and that if this MSP goes, and if the Mandi system goes, and the Artiya system goes, then what happens to the future of our families? And most of those 75% of those Punjabis, because 75% are really living off agriculture, whether they are directly in it or indirectly in it. They are owners of less than 5 acres of land. And half of them own even 1 acre or 2 acres. How do they exist? Those poor people who are sitting out in the cold there and braving it out are just little marginal farmers. And that is what is sad, which is happening.
But is there a genuine fear of Khalistani elements infiltrating the farmers' agitation? Did you warn the Home Minister of the same? And did you say if the agitation is not brought to an early end, we could see the birth of hardliners?
Well, I can tell you one thing about the farmer agitation, that there were a lot of people who came there wearing all sorts of T-shirts, and the farmers got them to take them off. Somebody was wearing Khalistan, somebody was wearing something else, and they were taken off. So the farmers don't want any of this political business to be into their thing. They only want their own bread and butter issues to be discussed. And the people took them off. But you never know, as I said, they are youngsters, and youngsters can suddenly move in various directions. So I hope that this issue will end so that we don't have to look at that sort of a situation again.
Now, if you dissect the 3 bills that were passed, or the 3 acts that are now, let's take a look at the opening up of the APMC system, the fact that they've talked about one nation, one market. What is so wrong with that concept that upsets Punjab, that they feel that the APMC system is the best way to go forward?
No, that's not what it is. The system is that we've always had. Firstly, you have the Artiyas, which do your buying. Artiya has a very close association for the last 100 years with the farmers, so that they have a sort of a family relationship. Anytime at night, if an Artiya has a tragedy in his family and has to rush his child to hospital, he goes to his Artiya, knocks on the door, and takes 1,000 rupees or 1,500 and rushes his child to hospital. Can he do that with the corporate world? The banks are not open and nothing is open. That relationship is gone. And they have had it for 100 years. So while that was working, you could start your other system off. Who is stopping people from coming and buying food here? I've got ITC buying potatoes. I've got Pepsi Cola buying potatoes. I've got my Kinos going to Bombay and to Madras and all to other factories. Who's stopping anyone? But I was one in the last government. I was the one that field to fork program which I was trying to do with the Ambanis. What was I trying to do? I was trying to get them to get, instead of 2 crops, get 3 vegetable crops produced by the farmers, which they would lift for their food stores all over the country. Now, that was not changing the system. That was only enhancing the income of the farmer. That is what we were trying to do at that stage. And same is the system here. So while the RTR system let it work, why are you stopping it? And on the other hand, let the corporate world do its buying as they are buying. And in case the farmer feels happy with the corporate world, he'll go there. If he's happy with his RTI, he'll go there. Why are you trying to just do away with one system altogether?
Well, they are saying that these two systems can run parallel. The corporate side or the private mandis can run as well as the APMC. So what is the issue on that?
Absolutely. I'm saying so that they should run parallel, but they want to stop the RTRs. They want to stop the mandi system. I was getting 2 to 3% from the mandis for developing 65,000 kilometers of my village road, my link roads. Where will I get the money from now? I won't be able to. Every fifth year we repair our roads. The village developments take place. The drainage systems, the sewage systems in the villages is all done by that 2.5% that the farmer gives for his own villages. That is also being stopped. Now this is, I don't know where it's going to come to. It's affecting every facet of government.
What about the MSP system? Because they say that we have not abolished the MSP. It is there. It is and anyway an administrative issue. It has been always that. Why are you insisting that it be made under law? It always existed for so many years as an administrative order.
That's correct. It has been administrative order. It's been throughout the Congress party governments. It's been administrative because this issue never arose about abolishing it. Everyone knew it would carry on, and every year there was an announcement of 5% or 10% or whatever it was. And so was it here. Last 2 years, nobody has objected. How many years has the BJP been? 5 once and 2 years now. 7 years, has anyone objected to it? No. Everyone was happy with the way it was going. How is it suddenly that people have reacted? Because you have passed your bills. You have passed the bills, and you have you really sown the seed of discord. What was the need for that? And you could have asked if the MSP was there. You could say yes. We will ensure that it continues. Now the Prime Minister's made a statement. The Food Minister's made a statement. Yes, they'll say all right as long as they are there. Suppose a new government comes in. Congress doesn't come in. They don't come in. The BJP doesn't come in. Some third party government comes in, like's happened before. Then what? Who takes the guarantee for that? Why can't you just, if you don't want to, why can't you just amend the the laws that you brought in and incorporate it there that the the MSP will stay? I mean, it is give it some legitimacy. That's what I mean.
Now, why do you think the center has done this? I mean, what is the big suspicion that farmers have about the center's motives in this?
Frankly, I don't know. I'll tell you, I am the one who represents the state that produces the most. There's a committee was set up. Punjab was not a member of it. And then I protested. And I said, we are the one give 40% to the nation's food pool being 2% of India. And for God's sake, we should be represented and our views should be taken. By that time, they had the first meeting and decided on their policies. Then they sent for us. And then the second meeting was a discussion on some financial issues, where I sent the finance minister to attend, Mr. Manpreet Badal. And the third meeting was summoned. Our agriculture officers were summoned and were told decision has been taken. We have just called you to inform you. So we have no part of the policy. We don't know how it was discussed, who discussed it, why it was discussed, and who's behind it, and who are the brains behind it. God alone knows.
So you think even the fact that the Badals, Sukhbir Badal and his wife Harsimrat Kaur Badal, who was a union minister, were not in the know of these laws, despite being both allies, the Akali Dal being an ally of the NDA, as well as having one of their ministers?
If they are saying that, fine. Let me tell you that Mrs. Badal was part of the Council of Ministers, which approved the ordinance. And the ordinance, she was sitting in the meeting when the ordinance was approved. And after that, it went to Parliament and was made into a law. On the part of Mr. Sukhbir Badal is concerned, I called an all-party meeting. He came the first time and gave a wishy-washy answer. No, nothing positive, not for, not against, and went out. Second time I called the meeting, an all-party meeting, he never showed up. The whole Akali Dal didn't show up. Then we had a Vidhan Sabha session in which we brought it up. And in that, they walked out, the Akalis walked out and didn't take part in the voting and the discussion on it. Now, these are the sort of double-faced things. They wanted to keep Delhi happy and they wanted to keep the farmers happy. They've ended up by keeping nobody happy. That's the way it is from the Akalis.
Now, they also say that, and particularly the Modi government and the NDA say that the Congress is being duplicitous because in its manifesto for the 2019 Lok Sabha election, it actually promised similar things, APMC reforms. Why is it opposing it now?
But the Congress party neither did we in 2017 in our manifesto put ever that we will do away with the RTR system and the Mandi system. We said other things. Yes, we would like others to come in. I wanted the Reliance chaps to come in and start doing it I'm talking about 2002, when my last government was here. We were looking at some ways of increasing the income of the farmers. I've told you just now that the United Arab Emirates are going to hopefully buy from us. And already there are people in Punjab, umpteens of companies. All my milk is virtually in the hands of the foreign companies. Nestle's is there. There was Horlicks in Nabha, and there was Ovaltine in Patiala, and there are various units which had come up. And similarly, I've got ITC now buying potatoes for their snack foods, and I've got Pepsi buying for their snack foods. So everywhere this is going on. There are many other plants which are coming up. So I'd be happy for them to come and work, but alongside a system that has always existed.
The Congress never promised in its thing to abolish the APMC or bring any of these reforms in its political manifesto.
Look, one thing is there. You must remember that agriculture is my subject. It's a state subject. Center has no business to interfere in our business, whether it's with this center or any other government. So the government wouldn't have never, Dr. Manmohan Singh's government, I can tell you now, he would never have said that stop this RTR system and stop the system that's been working for hundreds of years. And I don't think that would have been reflected in the manifesto. Yes, it may have said that we want to modernize the system. By all means, modernize the system. But leave a system that has been in use, functioning for the last 100 years. Why do you want to change it? And I bet not. And similar is in the case in 2017. We said, yes, we would like to modernize the system, but we never said that we will do away with the RTRs and the Mandi system.
So you think the error of the, if one could call it that, the error of the Modi government was not to get into consultations with you all. They should have had prior consultations with all the stakeholders. You think that's one of the big issues why there's such a confrontation?
Absolutely. And then when it came up for discussion in Parliament, you never even had a discussion. You just bulldoze it through in the Rajya Sabha. At least because you knew that there would be a reaction. And therefore you didn't. But now this is, short-circuiting your entire constitutional process. And far as this is concerned, which now the country is facing, it is not taking the stakeholders into confidence. We are 70% of the farmers of India are subsisting on agriculture. Surely you must ask a little fellow in Maharashtra what he wants, and the chap in Karnataka what he wants, and somebody from Bengal, Odisha, and Punjab, and Himachal, and Kashmir. We all have our own views. They have different types of systems and problems. But we are there, and you can ask us. But when you're not even looking at the state that contributes the most to the country, then who are you going to ask? You could have called me and said, Captain Saab, this is the issue. I would have given you my views there and then, and then you could ask others and come to a consensus on it.
Now, one of the things they say is that Punjab has become MSP addicted, that we have our granaries are full of rice and wheat, that really, we need to now diversify our crops. What do you have to say for that? That the Punjab farmers got it easy, it doesn't really want to do other things, and therefore it relies, completely on the government, is dependent on the government for it.
Absolutely. It's not that only. Look, let's just divide this into two parts. Where does that food go to, which we buy? It goes to the Food Corporation of India. Food Corporation of India is buying it on behalf of the Food Ministry. And the Food Ministry finally, most of that goes into the public distribution system to feed our poor. Where is it going to go now? If some big corporate houses buy it, is it going to go to supplement the PDS system? No. So that is one side of the story. As far as the other is concerned, in the MSP business. Punjab's always done it. We are not asking for any favors. We are asking for our right. Our right is the price for our food. If you say that you don't want an MSP and everything is great, then tell me one thing. MSP for maize is 1,800 rupees, right? No agency is supporting it. And this time, when the assembly session was on, one MLA raised the question of that morning from Hoshiarpur, that in the Hoshiarpur that morning, maize had sold at 600 rupees a quintal, as against an MSP of 1,800 rupees a quintal. So that is going to happen now. People here who are getting 2,000 rupees or 1,800 rupees or 2,200 rupees or whatever they are for their crop, if they suddenly drop to 1,000 rupees, if there's no MSP, what is going to be the law and order situation here? And
Now, sorry, go ahead,
what
finish. Yes.
what is neighbor going to do? My neighbor's going to provoke it. He's provoking everybody. He provokes everyone all the time, and he'll have a system. He'll have people available to him who he can provoke.
And finally, on your own cabinet, we see that you've had a meeting with Navjot Singh Sidhu. Is it peace prevailing? Have there were feelings that you all were quite distant. Is it all cohesive now? And what brought you all together?
Actually, there's nothing. I mean, I don't know. People, frankly, Raj, it's you guys of the press who always try to ginger things up. I have known Navjot Sidhu since he was a 2-year-old boy. His father was General Secretary of the Congress Party in Patiala when my mother was the Congress President. Then she went to Raj Sabha, so his father took over as President of the Congress Party in Patiala. In those days, there was only one General Secretary, and it was a very organized sort of system which worked. And so Navjot I've known since then, and that's when I left the army. And I went, and his father used to guide me, and I used to go to his house often and see this little chap playing around and all. And then he became a good cricketer, everything fine. I have to, as a chief minister, look at various aspects as to the development of my various states. Whatever, I don't want to carry this issue further. But in my wisdom, I thought that in this particular department, I needed a little more strengthening. So I removed him from this department and I gave him another department, which is a very important department, which is I'm holding it, power. Power for me is it's very important, whether it is hydroelectric, whether it is thermal, or whether it is solar or wind or whatever you may call it. Somebody who's a pushy character has to take that on if you have to have enough power produced. So I thought, let him do this and give that to somebody else, and he got upset and he quit. And it's now. I met him the other day, and we had a very cordial meeting. We spent about an hour together. We talked half an hour of cricket, and the other half an hour we talked. And I told him, I said, now's the time that we all have to put our heads together and our shoulders together and move ahead. And we had a very affectionate sort of a meeting. So I'm very happy with it. And
So
I
is he
hope that
joining the cabinet or?
Well, that we didn't discuss in detail, but certainly when I say you come and join us, I'm sure he'll be thinking of it.
And one quick question. You mentioned power, and you had the Montague committee, which you appointed to go into the entire COVID problems and suggest solutions for the state. They had recommended that you end the power subsidy or you bring it down a bit. What is your thought on that? Because that's the other issue that people talk about.
We need the full report, and the full report will come to us yet. Yet we only had the preliminary report, and then we'll have to have a discussion. I've had two virtual sessions with people because there are a lot of people who've contributed who are in the United States or England or wherever else, and we've had these. So there are some things that we can do, some things we cannot do for political reasons and all. So these are matters that we have to now sift them together and talk. And this is exactly what I was wanting in agriculture. Here is we are talking to all the experts of the world and trying to reach a conclusion. And there you are not talking to anybody and you've reached a conclusion. So that is the difference. And here is what we want to do something. And we have to see what we can do and what we can't do and how we can blend the two.
Well, Captain Amarinder Singh, I hope Prime Minister Modi listens to what you've told us today and they find a solution quickly to it. But thank you for your candor and also the wise words that you've put. Thank you very much, Captain.
Thank you, Raj. Thank you very much.